Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, and I'm here with another video, and another one that's probably not as fun as I'd kind of like it to be. And today we're going to be talking about the future of Square Enix and asking the question here, should we be worried or concerned for you, buddy? So let's just get this out of the way. Square has had a sort of, I don't know if I'd call it buttery smooth, but it's definitely had a bit of an ups and downs over the last couple of years. They had a big CEO change. They had a big priority change in a good way. So, not all of this is bad necessarily. I want to say, when they did have a couple years ago, they changed their CEO. They did so for a good reason, and that was because the last one was double, triple, quadrupling down on NFTs and thought NFTs were the future of the company, and basically they was like, hey, that as NFTs were basically imploding and dying off, he was still going super hard in. So Square did the right thing, and they replaced him with a younger, more more optimistic, more go-getter CEO. And it sounded like these were all good things, and they are good things. And we do live in an industry where things take way more time than they used to, but we got Square's recent yearly financial report recently, and that's where things get a little interesting because in their report they've detailed a 3-year reboot. This is Square Enix's own words to their shareholders, is that we are instigating a 3-year reboot of the company. And the basic thing here is towards consistent releases of major titles and more cooperation between the creative studios. So that sounds, word salad, but I get what they're going for here. But they kind of get off on the wrong foot, I would say, almost immediately, because the notable things in their slides provided were a creation of an R&D division for AI development tools, because I guess NFTs weren't going to be the end of bad ideas. So I guess they're going to be focusing R&D efforts into AI development tools. Now, this could go either way. This could be things that are useful. This could be things that are terrible. It's a little nebulous. It's a little bit of just like, well, we don't really know what that necessarily means. We just know that Square's investing into AI because AI is the new crypto bro scam, for all tech companies apparently. Management of game titles all under one umbrella now, which probably should have happened a while ago. Creative Studio 3, Business 3, aka Realm Reborn, aka 16 developers. They're going to still make HD games alongside the MMO, which means that Final Fantasy 16 was not going to be a sort of spin-off, one-and-done mainline title for Creative Business 3 or Creative Studio 3, as I guess they're called now. They're going to make other console games, as well as continue to make stuff for Final Fantasy 14, their evergreen cash cow. They're going with a multi-platform focus, which again, this was something we all saw and when we're kind of, I feel like was reiterated heavily with Rebirth sales and 16, where it's like, yeah, taking the Sony bribe money was actually worse in the long run, because we just don't live in a console exclusive heavy world. Like, I don't tell Nintendo that, but I mean, we just don't live in a world where console exclusives are much of a thing anymore, especially not for third parties. Like, you have no reason, because for Square in particular, as a third party company, they have no reason to be exclusive anymore, other than taking, that sweet bribe money, that money hatting and exclusivity money, which is proven to be fool's gold really at this point. So yeah, get rid of the single platform focus and focus more on multi-platform stuff, which is the way they have to go. And with the Switch 2 launching, it's going to be even easier and better for them than ever. But they've also said they've had to cancel multiple titles. Now, as you just saw in the video behind me, that was Kingdom Hearts Missing Link for mobile, which got canceled, which I don't know how Kingdom Hearts fans are necessarily going to feel in general. It seemed like it was a pretty significantly budgeted title going into mobile development. Nomura said that he was going to use it to directly lead up story-wise, lore-wise into Kingdom Hearts 4. Now, I'm not a Kingdom Hearts guy, but I'm not here to dunk on Kingdom Hearts, but more just, again, the purpose of this video is like, should we be concerned with Square Enix's immediate future, because they just canceled a high-profile Kingdom Hearts project, whether it was for mobile or not. It's not 4, obviously, but it was supposed to be. It did look like a pretty decently, sizable chunk of development was going into this mobile game that was going to be a direct continuation and directly tie into Kingdom Hearts 4. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what their plans are regarding any of that lore content that's not going to happen now. Maybe they'll put it in some other way. I don't know. I don't really want to get into that too much, but yeah, that multiple titles have been canceled. So we're in a phase here where we're on a 3-year reboot plan, which I thought they already were, but I guess we're still in, or we're doing it again. We're rebooting the reboot. So we're in a 3-year reboot phase. We're canceling multiple projects. Again, multiple projects have been canceled. And the notable one publicly that they're saying is Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. They have said that content production accounts spending has been slashed almost in half starting this year. I don't know what that means. Content production accounts. It just means that it feels like they're canceling projects, cutting spending. Advertising marketing is now done in-house. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, because Square for a time with Strangers of Paradise, well, Strangers of Paradise might have been an accidentally marketing genius, but Final Fantasy 16 and Rebirth had some interesting trailers, which I'm not sure did such a good job, especially with 16. There was a lot of stuff with that game where the content drip feed and some of the direction of some of the trailers seemed like such weird ideas. And you can go back and, you hear me and Max talking about it, where there was definitely some questionable choices on how they were presenting and selling the game. So them moving to an in-house advertising, maybe for the best. Maybe that's a direct response to some of this. But yeah, and then, okay, so here's the big one. Here is why did I make this video? Forecasting, this is Square's own words, they are forecasting a large drop in net sales, but stable operating income for the fiscal year, which ends March of 2026. So let that sink in. They are publicly telling their shareholders, we are expecting a large drop in net sales, but don't worry, we'll have stable operating profits. What they're saying is, let me break this down. Let me tell you, let me cut through the veil of word salad fuckery here. We don't have any big games coming out this year. There are no big games coming out this year from Square Enix, which means no Dragon Quest 12, no Kingdom Hearts 4, certainly no Rebirth Part 3, and obviously no Final Fantasy 17. And probably no Nier game either, because that game got pretty big. So if you were hoping that maybe next month we were going to see a surprise release, hey, Square's got something cooking for real, it's coming out in the second half, nope. They do not have anything coming out, because if it's a large drop, because remember, Rebirth already didn't quite sell what they really wanted it to sell, and neither did 16, and that was, in the last couple years. So to say from that to a large drop even from that, boy, Square's house is apparently not really too well in order. And again, we can go back to, we reiterate back where they were releasing like 12 games a month at one point, where it was like, here's Star Ocean 6, here's Valkyrie Elysium, here's Chocobo Racing was in March, and here's Tactics Ogre HD, here's some other strategy RPG, which name escapes me right now, like all just at once, all boom, 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 all in March, all in October. We just release, tons and tons of games, and then they crowd their own market, and then they flood it, and then nobody buys it, and yeah, so we're just kind of staring down the barrel of like, oh, Square doesn't have anything for this year, and they're on a reboot plan, and they've canceled multiple projects, and some of those projects were a Kingdom Hearts game that was going to directly tie into 4. And sort of and kind of also reiterating, they released some new screenshots, I should say. There are 4 Kingdom Hearts 4. They gave a different one for in-game screenshot for America and Japan, got a different one of the same area, same kind of place. But This Kingdom Hearts 4 screenshot, which is the first official media they've shown in 3 years, and it looked early. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it looked terrible. I'm just going to say it looked early. Like, they didn't have shadows on characters in this, Tokyo Shibuya looking area that they showed off. Like, it looked early. Like, this game is years away. Which begs the question, what have they been doing for 3 years? But this is, I guess this is Square Enix. This is an Nomura-headed project. I guess 3 years with not a ton to show for it is par of the course, I guess. I don't know. But the other problem could be Unreal 5. Unreal 5's kind of been showing rearing its problems lately. It's Stutterfest, 2025. With Unreal, and I guess so. The question then asks is, how does Square dig themselves out of this hole? What do they do? Because you can't really necessarily rely on Final Fantasy 7 and 17 and Kingdom Hearts and Dragon Quest to sort of just float you, because these games are taking 6 plus years to get out. I think Rebirth is the only, Final Fantasy 7 is the only thing that's on track, really. And that was because they did the smart thing of keeping management good, keeping staff employed, keeping the flow going between one, remake to Rebirth to whatever part 3 is. So, and I'm kind of like, I expect 2027 is when they will release Final Fantasy 7 part 3, which is a good 2 years from now, and it'll be at least 3 years, which sounds almost lightning fast for Square, but they've got so much work done from Rebirth that they can use for part 3. It shouldn't hopefully take too long. But again, so looking at stuff like Kingdom Hearts 4, that's where things start getting like, oh my God, this looks 3 to 4 years away after 3 years of being announced. So again, this is looking like another 6+ year development time for a Kingdom Hearts mainline numbered Kingdom Hearts entry. And, Dragon Quest 12, I don't really talk about Dragon Quest for reasons on my channel, but it's been a while since 11 and getting 12. So, and we don't even know who or what they're doing for 17. So Square kind of does need to get its house in order. And it doesn't, I hope they do, but this 3-year reboot plan is looking a little rough here. There are some obvious things we could be excited about and talk about. Final Fantasy 9 remake, which is heavily rumored, hopefully happening. But again, it seems a little scary when they say we are expecting a large drop in net sales for this year. Doesn't sound like either they don't have a lot of faith in Final Fantasy 9 remake, or it's not that big of a game. But I find it hard to believe that you could do even a quasi remaster of Final Fantasy 9 and Final Fantasy Tactics HD, get that out. That should at least still be a pretty good year of sales. Again, there's also plenty of other things for Square Enix to dig into. They could try to do something with Chrono Trigger, though it seems like that was all sort of mistranslation and everything regarding what Yuji Horii said. Although he's later clarified, hey, I want to try to get a Chrono Trigger remake project actually going for real. Regardless of mistranslation, I would like to see if we can maybe make that happen. So it sounds like he started the genesis of, hey, let's get this going. Now, we do know that there is Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD coming out this year. But again, what else has Team Asano been doing? What are they working on? Is most of whatever net sales they do expect this year coming strictly from Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD? Because I still think with Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, which they said 3 HD sold better than they expected, and 9 remake, remaster, a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster, that would be still a pretty good year for 2025 for Square Enix, I really feel. But I can't help but be a little worried here when we're talking about we're canceling multiple projects. Kingdom Hearts 4 is still a long ways off. We canceled Missing Link. This is a little concerning. And the big one for me is, where the hell is a new Nier game? Like, how do you sell like 8 million copies of Nier Automata? And I know we did a remaster of the first game and it did okay, but how did we not at some point get a sequel going? And maybe Yoko Taro doesn't want to do one. I thought he seemed like he was cool with it or had ideas for one, but I just don't know how Square doesn't immediately fast track that. We heard rumors that Square was going to do it in house. They weren't even going to go to Platinum, maybe because the idea is, well, Platinum's kind of fallen apart, so maybe they don't have Platinum to make a Nier sequel, which seems fair now. But it was always rumored that Square was going to do it in house, and then you have Toy Box who did Nier Replicant remaster. They could have been the front line for a Nier, a third Nier. I know Reincarnation exists, but let's real console Nier 3, not a mobile game. An actual follow-up to Nier. I don't think we're going to see 2B or 9S again. I think it'll be a whole new cast of characters in a whole new setting as it was from Nier 1 to Nier Automata. And sadly, not even Emil will be back. I guess that's kind of spoilers, but shame on you if you haven't played Nier Automata yet. What's wrong with you? But yeah, it's a little concerning here because they don't seem to have been able to break out of their pillars of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, and those games are not getting any easier to make. Kudos to they tried. Hey, they tried to make Star Ocean a thing with Star Ocean 6 and Star Ocean 2R, which 2R was great. That was a great fun remaster. But Valkyrie Elysium was kind of a wet fart. I enjoyed it, but it was a wet fart of a game release. So I mean, the digging into Tri-Ace's background doesn't seem to be yielding much results either. Unfortunately, I mean, you could put out Star Ocean 3R. That'd be something. It'd get some sort of sales, not a ton maybe, but something. And people like that. People remember it. I mean, terrible mid-game twist aside, people do fondly remember Star Ocean 3 at least to some extent. But yeah, I think Square right now kind of really, if anything, they really need to find a way to make a big new franchise. And Nier kind of was that. So where the hell is the Nier follow-up? I think if anything, putting everything, all the development under one umbrella, this all sounds nice, trying to get more synergy between their devs, development studios and development, whatever. They announced a partnership with Tokyo Broadcast System, but that's great for Japan, I guess. But if anything, I think Square kind of just needs to diversify their portfolio, and they haven't been doing that lately. They've mostly been selling it off. They sold off IDOS. They sold off a ton of IDOS IPs. I don't think Gex is going to be doing anything numbers-wise next month. But yeah, I think if anything, getting rid of Hitman, getting rid of IDOS, I don't think that did them a lot of favors in the long run, especially for how cheap they sold them off for. I think this might actually be something that comes around and bites them in the butt. Yeah, they were Western developed games, Western developed IPs, but they've still brought in sales. They were still good things to have. Getting rid of them so cheaply the way they did was, I don't think it was the best thing for anyone in that case. We could have had, honestly, if Square was smart, even if Tomb Raider was going okay under Square Enix, they really could have done something with Legacy of Kain. They could have tried to keep Deus Ex going. They could have tried to do a little more with Hitman. Hitman's still beloved, in some sense, but yeah, now Square is kind of in a position now where they got rid of all their Western stuff and they're kind of staring down an empty release schedule for the fiscal year, and they haven't really had a huge success of reviving or making other known brands of theirs a big success. Again, they kind of tried with Star Ocean and Valkyrie Profile, half-heartedly. They tried with some other stuff. They've had their Bravely Defaults, Octopaths, and Triangle Strategy, and hey, Octopath did well for them, but I don't know if it did well enough that the numbers they want, because I think Square is always looking for, we need to have something that sells, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest numbers, and Nier is that game. It's that series, and nothing, just absolutely nothing. So I'm glad that they realize, hey, we need to reboot stuff, but I'm also like, did you realize this fast enough? Should we be concerned? Because Square is, for a lot of people, and especially aging millennials, is sort of the premier, the top tier development publisher. It's still a beloved beloved publisher developer for many, many people, especially people from my age and just a little bit under me, younger than me. So, and honestly, right now it just kind of hurts. It kind of feels like we're in sort of like a not, I don't want to say dark age. I'll just say like we're kind of wandering a little lost here. We're trying to get, kind of hoping they get their house in order, and they seem to know it too. But again, should we be worried? How did you guys feel about Final Fantasy? And then there's the whole other conversation that I'm not having about Final Fantasy should go back to turn-based because Clair Obscur was a huge hit and was beloved and everyone loved it, and they should totally go back to turn-based. And this is all, abandoning turn-based it's all their fault for doing that, and that's why they have those problems. And I don't think that's true. Final Fantasy 15 is a monumentally successful sales-wise Final Fantasy game. I think turn-based is a whole other conversation that's neither here nor there. I think what Square really needs to do is I think they just need to get back to that Final Fantasy on PS1 era where it seems like there was focus, drive, and vision, and it seemed like people knew what they wanted to do, and the project management was a lot smoother back then. Granted, games cost a lot less, took a lot less to make, but as we've seen with the development of games like Clair Obscur, as we see with games like Xenoblade and Monolith Soft, and how quickly they're able to get their stuff out, and just look at their own internal Rebirth team. Just look at how well the Final Fantasy VII Remake team has come together since Remake, but especially from Remake to Rebirth in Part 3. And maybe that's kind of what they're realizing here too, but yeah, it kind of hurts to sort of see like, oh man, like things are not coming together as fast or as smooth as they need to be for the company. So yeah, I guess from this fiscal report, it doesn't look like we're going to see a ton of stuff. Hopefully it isn't Announcement City at Summer Games Fest, followed by thank you, Harrison. Followed by God knows how long the games come out. Like, I think what Square Enix doesn't need right now is more Kingdom Hearts 4 style announcements where here's big fancy new game we know you want to see. We'll give you a screenshot 3 years later. That needs to not be what happens. And if Square has to play the silent game, I guess so be it. Playing the silent game is a much better idea than here's a big fancy CG trailer about a big game we know you want, but we're not going to be able to deliver it for 5 years. So if anything, hopefully things are going to work out. Again, I think, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy Tactics, that, a couple of things like that, Star Ocean 3R, that's a good filling out the year. That's a good filling out the empty time for Square. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're worried or if we should be worried, and I will see you on the channel. Later, dudes.